I'm Gordon Hoffert. I'm a member of the Lewiston, Minnesota Church of the Brethren. A year ago, I came here to Kampala, Uganda with my son to visit some friends. And on that trip, we met some people who are calling themselves the Uganda Church of the Brethren. And now, via this video journal, I'm going to introduce you as well to these Uganda Brethren and their ministries. I had my first interaction with the Uganda Brethren in April of 2019. Just hours before our departure, I received a heads up from a Facebook friend asking if I realized there's a Brethren pastor in Uganda who's planting churches. Well, I hadn't. And my son, Jess, contacted that pastor, Wambali Sedrak, and we arranged a short meeting. This would turn out to be the first time that Sedrak and the Uganda church would meet other members of the Church of the Brethren. In that 1 hour, Sedrak shared the young church's vision, its current activities, and its future plans. 10 months later, in February of 2020, I was back in Uganda, this time to devote the majority of my time to learning as much as I could about these new brethren. Sedrak, a former music teacher, and his wife, Diana, are the acknowledged leaders of the group. On our 9-day journey, they, in the company of their 1-year-old daughter, Shad Rose, provided a window into the life of this young church. The church began in 2018 as a small group of 5 disaffected Christians who were estranged from their Pentecostal denomination. The 5 were Sedrak, Diana, Diana's mother Rose, Sedrak's brother Hezekiah, and Kawesa Vincent. They met to search the scriptures for guidance on the issues which had set them at odds with their denomination. Apart from the Bible, their study took them to the internet, where they discovered the beliefs and practices of the Church of the Brethren. The 3 doctrines that spoke to them most deeply were 1, no creed but the New Testament; 2, the aversion to secret societies; and 3, that all war is sin. In fact, when he saw that the brethren took seriously Jesus' teachings to love their enemy and engage in peacemaking, he exclaimed, "Oh my God, there's actually a church that believes this." The decision to file as an organized church under the name Church of the Brethren of Uganda soon followed, and 2 congregations were planted in Kampala, one under the leadership of Sedrak and the other led by his brother Hezekiah. A central teaching of these 2 churches and those that followed is the belief that all individuals are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. Jesus' love encompasses all people, and the church exists to extend that same love. And much like Jesus, the Uganda Brethren saw children, the weakest of the weak, as those in greatest need of assistance, compassion, and hope. The church felt called to bring good news to the destitute children of Uganda. However, the church's outreach was not to be located in Kampala and its immediate vicinity. As Uganda's capital and commercial center, Kampala is adequately served by a sufficient number of churches, NGOs, and their ministries. The Uganda Brethren would center their ministries in the district of Kasese, around the city of the same name in the southwest corner of Uganda, a 7-hour drive from Kampala. This was also the home of Sedrak's family, a place where they had found refuge over a half-century ago when his parents fled the violence-plagued eastern Congo. The Kasese region is a lush and beautiful part of Uganda, but it is also a place where basic needs, especially of the children, have long gone unmet. The brethren had another reason to choose Kasese as the focus of their evangelism and outreach: the support of Pastor John Cooley and his 2 churches. John Cooley is Sedrak's uncle on his mother's side, and he was a pastor in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. When Sedrak approached him with the results of their scriptural inquiry and showed him what a New Testament church could look like, Pastor John responded positively. He formally requested that his church and that of his pastor's son, Dan, be allowed to leave the Adventist denomination. The request was granted, and shortly thereafter, 2 established congregations in the Kasese district had joined the Brethren. I asked Pastor Cooley what attracted him most to the Church of the Brethren. His one-word reply was this: peace. John Cooley is not only a close associate of Sedrak and Diana. He is viewed as the spiritual father of the Church of the Brethren in Uganda. Pastor Cooley's church is significant in another way. It is within this congregation that leaders have been trained and sent out to establish 2 more congregations in villages outside Kasese. 2 women, Penina and Jonas, pastor the church in Kendai. Pastor Deo and his wife lead the church in Bigando. Another new church is in the planning stages. Each church leads people to Christ and nurtures its members, but that is not the sole focus of their existence. Their primary ministry is directed toward the Rising Star Orphanage Junior School. In the 10 months between my 2 visits, the church had not only founded and staffed the orphanage school, it had an enrollment of 80 children, 37 of whom had lost both parents and live on the grounds of the orphanage. Since only the students with both parents living pay tuition, the orphanage school operates on a shoestring budget. Life at the orphanage school, a rented facility, is very simple, with no electricity and no running water. Sedrak and Diana spend their weekdays teaching and ministering here. The spare existence at their orphanage school stands in stark contrast, however, to the lively, smiling faces of the children.
We are very happy. We are very, very happy. We are all right, society.
A second ministry supported by the Uganda Brethren is the New Planet Star Academy, the village school in Bigando. Once the church here was opened and began to turn its attention to the community, the school's director, Alexander Shakima, was so impressed by the vision of the Brethren that he joined the church. Not only that, he has affiliated his school with the Church of the Brethren. Bigando is one of those villages that has been severely affected by local tribal strife. Many of the men of the village have lost their lives or are in hiding. As a result, there are many widows and single parents here. But there is also a strong community spirit in the village, and the citizens are proud of their school. As she looked up into the hills outside the village, Diana sighed and said, "There are so many children up there and not in school. I wish we could reach them." That desire to reach more underserved, undernourished, and undereducated children is close to the heart of the Uganda Church of the Brethren. Having now viewed firsthand their considerable achievements in the short span of a year, I am in awe of what God has made possible through the faith and action of this small group of believers. But their dreams and plans are far from fulfilled, and their resources are limited. They extend the hand of fellowship as they seek the partnership of the wider Church of the Brethren. As they said on numerous occasions, the harvest is bountiful, but the laborers are few.
We are happy in the